Welcome to the King Daddy Rawcast. This is your host, King Daddy, coming to you today from the Queen City King Studios here in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can find us on Twitter at RealKDShow, Instagram at Real_KD and our brand new Facebook page at King Daddy Rawcast. Any of those social media formats, you can find us. They will lead you to our email, which is kdshow1984@gmail.com. And you can also now go to qcking.libsyn.com, and that will take you directly to the podcast page. So without further ado, let's get right to it. When I was a younger man, I had a friend. My family and I lived for a short period of time in Greenville, South Carolina. And this friend of mine, who quite honestly, I can't even remember his name. I think his name was Terry Taylor, which is the same as a former professional wrestler. But I'm not 100% sure. There were a couple of guys that I hung out with, back then. I was in the first or the second grade, and I don't really, think about that. I'm 54 years old. I don't remember even being in the second grade, much less that much about it. But anyway, me and my friend would play in the yard, and two of our idols were Starsky and Hutch. I used to absolutely love Starsky and Hutch. We used to pretend like we were fighting crime, riding around in that red and white Gran Torino. And I just absolutely thought Starsky and Hutch were the coolest people on earth. Well, as I got older, it turns out that David Soul, who played Hutch, ended up abusing his wife, drinking, and having lots of anger issues. So, that was one of my heroes growing up that I found out that wasn't really that heroic at all. And then another person, that I really looked up to growing up, and you're going to get a big kick out of this one because I do still when I think about it. Oh my God, I love myself some fucking juice. O.J. Simpson was the absolute shit. That man could run a football like nothing else. It was absolutely crazy. And then when I got into my 20s, possibly late 20s, early 30s, I can't even remember what year this happened now, but we all know the turn that O.J. took. He ended up going to court, getting found not guilty, and then getting sued by the Goldman family for the civil lawsuit for the murder of his former wife, Nicole. So again, another hero of my childhood who grew up to be an absolute piece of shit. And I have a point to all this in a few minutes. So my third person that I really looked up to growing up, and oh my God, this has got to be the funniest one of them all, but I thought Bruce Jenner was the greatest athlete that ever lived. His triathlons were amazing. Bruce Jenner was on the cover of the Wheaties box. He was every kid's dream. When you wanted to run fast, you wanted to run like Bruce Jenner. When you wanted to swim, you wanted to swim like Bruce Jenner. You wanted to do everything athletic like Bruce Jenner. So now I guess that if you decide that you want to put on a bra and a pair of panties and take some hormones to make yourself have boobs, you can once again have the childhood dream of being like Bruce Jenner. What in the fuck has happened to those people? Another person that I looked up to growing up was Robert Blake. I thought Beretta was an amazing TV show. And before I ever found out that Robert Blake potentially killed his wife, I was a little disappointed when I found out that Robert Blake was only like 5 foot tall. That was hurtful. But still, Robert Blake fighting crime, had that big bird in his apartment. That was just a badass show. And then you come to find out that 4 of the people that I looked up to in my childhood grew up to be 4 of the most disappointing pieces of shit that have ever walked the face of the earth. And I revered them as a child. Revered them. So the point that I have to that is there is only one person in life that you need to look up to, and that is yourself. You need to make sure that you are the type of person that when you look into the mirror every single day, that your goal is not to be Starsky or Hutch. Your goal is not to run a football like O.J. Simpson. Your goal is not to compete in triathlons like Bruce Jenner. Your goal is to be better tomorrow than you were today. You know, I guess, very fortunate that I did have some role models growing up that I could look at in real life that kind of gave me some guidance. But these kids today, and this is a real huge pet peeve of mine, and I mentioned all those things at the beginning about the role models that I have as a child to bring this particular point up. Our kids today are looking up to NFL players and NBA players, and they are making role models of these people. Part of that problem is not necessarily the athletes themselves, but the system that we have in place. One of the worst things in the world is for colleges to give scholarships to people based on athletic merit alone. There are so many kids out there who are highly intelligent. They have the ability to do great things in this world with their mind, but they want to waste all our scholarship money on people who can run footballs. And then what happens is these people get into the pros. They're making millions of dollars. They've been pushed through high school. They've been pushed through college. They get $1 million plus paycheck to play in the pros. And then we wonder why they're making the news every single night for assaulting their wives or stabbing people, doing all the things that they do that get them in the headlines for the very wrong reason. And these are the people that our children are looking up to for role models. They are not role models. A role model is a person who understands what it really means to be a man. What it really means to be a man to me is for a person, one, to have integrity. Your word has to be your bond. You have to be truthful. Now, I'm not saying that everything that comes out of your mouth has to be likable, because half the shit that I say people do not like, but I also stand behind what I say. If I say it, I mean it. If it's cruel, I still mean it. If it's a little off color, I still mean it, because my word is my bond. And when I reach my hand out and I take your hand in a firm, manly handshake, and I tell you that I'm going to do something, that is exactly what I'm going to do. But these guys are not who your children need to be looking up to. Now, I'm 54 years old. I've raised my kids. By the way, 3 wonderful kids. They're all self-sufficient. They all do the right thing. 2 of them have given me beautiful grandchildren. And these are the examples of what it means to be a man. You go to work every day. You're truthful. You are honest with everybody you come in contact with. That's one of the things. Earlier today, I was watching the George Bush funeral. And the common denominator in the George Bush funeral, regardless of how you feel about him as a president, there are mixed feelings on that one. But regardless of how you feel about his politics, the common denominator at the George Bush funeral today was the integrity of the man. George Bush was an honest man, according to everyone who spoke at his funeral today. Everyone who has spoken about him since the moment of his death has had nothing but good things to say about the type of integrity as a human being that he displayed as a person. Now, we don't always see that in politics anymore either. Our very own president, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a Donald Trump supporter, nor am I a Donald Trump hater or basher. But our very own president, for the most part, is a shady, lying motherfucker. Now, has he done some things? He's given some tax breaks. A couple of those have blown up in his face. He supposedly, for now, has brought jobs into the country. Again, some of that's blowing up in his face as well. Don't know whether some of those things were maybe a little bit, I don't know what to call it, ad-libbed or, made to be more than what they really are. But according to the numbers, he supposedly brought some jobs to the country, which is a good thing. Until the other day, the stock market was looking pretty good. But again, it's starting to fall apart. So the integrity of the office of president does not exist anymore either. I think the integrity of the presidential office died out a long time ago, primarily with the Bill Clinton-Monica Lewinsky deal that went on when he was president. But again, that's not anyone that you want to look up to as a man. You as a father, you as a male human being, and I'm not talking about you ladies today, I'm talking directly to the men. You as a man need to step up your game and be the kind of person that when you go out of this world, people talk about you in such a way where you seem to be without blemish. And again, I'm not saying that you have to be a mamby-pamby pussy who does what everybody wants. You do not always have to be the person who says what everybody wants you to say. You do not have to conform to what other people want you to do just because you're too good to say no, because real men say no. But you need to be honest enough to stand by your convictions and do what you're supposed to do. Now, I've given a lot of reflection on this, so I'm going to tell you a little story about myself. In November of 2017, I dropped dead of a cardiac arrest on the bed, and my wife found me that way when she came out of the shower. I've undergone a quadruple bypass. I've undergone the implantation of a defibrillator in my chest. I have been diagnosed with a neurological condition, and you can look this up if you want to read more about it, called Charcot, C-H-A-R-C-O-T, Charcot-Marie-Tooth. It is a debilitating neurological condition. And during the course of all this, it has made me look back and reflect on my own life and my own relationship with people around me. And I realized that some of that could have been better. Everything that I had going on in life was not always exactly what it was supposed to be. And I needed to make sure that I improved some of the relationships with the people around me that loved and cared for me. Because to me, that is what it means to be a man. To have some form of an honor code about yourself. Now, I have friends of mine who are in motorcycle clubs. And motorcycle clubs get a really bad rap. They get called criminals, they get called drug dealers, they get called all kinds of names. And you've seen them around, the big bearded, leather vested, Harley riding guys. But one of the things that I have noticed about the motorcycle clubs and the tattoo shop is the brotherhood and the camaraderie between men that exist in that organization. I can go to the tattoo shop right now where my really good friend Dave is a tattoo artist. And we can sit and we can have really good conversations. But I know that when Dave tells me something, that he is being truthful with me. I have never doubted him. I have never worried about him lying to me. I have never worried about any of my motorcycle club brothers that I know who have ever lied to me. They may not have always made me happy with their words. They may not have always made me feel good about myself with the things that they have to say, but they have always been honest, they have always been truthful, and they have always been forthright, and most importantly also, they have always been hard-working men. They work hard, they play hard, they love hard, they ride hard. And that's a code. Every man on the planet needs a code. Obviously, Bruce Jenner, OJ, Robert Blake, and David Soul didn't have a code. And if they did, they broke it. We don't want our kids looking up to people who do not have a code for the way they live. Now, there are some NFL players and some NBA players out there who do wonderful, wonderful things. I do not like Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers. I think he's arrogant. I think he's cocky. But I will tell you this. Cam Newton is out in the community. He is doing things. He is giving not only his money, but his time. He shows up. He does things that he's supposed to do. And not only is he a football player for the Carolina Panthers, he is an active member of our Carolina society. Whether you like him or not, whether you hate the fact that he wears those stupid outfits, you have to respect the fact that the man is a standarded member of the community who goes out and does what he is supposed to do, and is somewhat of an example for the kids that he works with on a regular basis. There are so many of them out there that do the right thing. Greg Olsen for the Carolina Panthers. And I hate to even sound like a Carolina Panthers fan, because I'm not. I can't stand them. I love the Atlanta Falcons. Been a diehard Falcons fan my whole life. But Greg Olsen for the Carolina Panthers and the work that he does with the local children's hospital here is second to none that anybody else does. But then the majority of the players in the league get caught on TMZ for punching their girlfriends in elevators or sexually assaulting their girlfriend. One of my favorite players from back in the day for the Tennessee Titans, and I can't recall his name right now, it'll come to me in a minute, but ended up getting shot and killed by his girlfriend in the apartment because he was doing something that he shouldn't have been doing. He was not doing the right thing, and he was, to use a football term, he was out of bounds. And being out of bounds cost him his life. And that is the one thing that I have learned through the circumstances that has taken place with me over the past year, is I can't afford to live life out of bounds. I need to make sure that my integrity is high, my word is my bond, and everything that I do reflects character. I don't want people to say about me when I leave this earth that, hey, he might not have been our favorite person, he might have been an asshole, but he did the right thing. I love my children, I love my grandchildren, and I love my wife. And I would not do anything to break the integral bonds of those things, because I am a real man. I consider myself to be a real man. I do not consider myself to be a player or any of those things that people want to be. I don't feel the need to run around all over town. I don't feel the need to get drunk and party and do all those things. I come home. I do what I'm supposed to do. I take care of my children. My kids are 21, 28, and 30 years old, and I have been sick for over a year, but if they need anything, they know who they can call, because that is what they have seen in me as a person their whole life. And that is what your children and the people around you need to see in you. And if they don't see that in you, then you, my friend, have a problem. Look in the mirror right now. Are you proud of what you see? Are you proud of the person that you have become? Are you a person of integrity? Are you a person who does the right thing? Again, not some mamby-pamby pushover pussy who does what everybody thinks you should be doing. But do you stand behind the convictions of who you want to be? This is King Daddy for the King Daddy Rawcast, signing off from Charlotte, North Carolina. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.